So is this a practice or is this the actual thing?
This is a real thing.
Are you fucking with the tank?
This is Barbie Jitsu podcast number 5. I'm here again with Samantha Swift.
Hello.
And I'm super excited because I just found out that I'm getting my first stripe.
Yay!
I'm getting promoted.
Woo!
And I'm so excited because I've worked really hard at it. I've had a run of really frustrating weeks, but then in the past couple weeks, it's gotten a lot better. And so Marcelo is coming into town on the 23rd, 29th. And then I'm getting promoted. And
Congratulations.
I was
That's
told
so
today.
exciting.
And I was like, yay! Because I've been working so hard and it's just been wild. But I wanted to kind of open with some of the things that I've been thinking about while I've been, because I had a really frustrating couple weeks where I felt like I was too small to do it. And I was so frustrated because I was just getting smashed into the ground. Every class just smashed and tapped. And then everybody was seeming to get it faster than me. And I was getting kind of frustrated. And I was like, okay, well, I signed up for this. And obviously small people can do this because there are small women doing this all over the world. So how do I get past this? And so I did a lot of talking with my friends, and I did a lot of reading, and I've been focusing a lot on my mental state when I go to class, which has been really good. And I've been focusing a whole lot more on technique and on position and also setting little bitty, what I'm calling micro ambitions for myself, because I'm setting teeny tiny goals that I can accomplish in a matter of minutes or days to really keep pushing me forward. And one of them is starting to pay off because I've been really focusing in class on not worrying about my attack, but just working on my defense. So I've been going into each class with the mindset of okay, learn as much as you can about the technique as fast as you can, practice it a lot, make sure it feels natural, and then when you roll, don't get tapped out. Don't attack, but don't get tapped out. And so it's been really cool because a couple classes ago, a couple of the boys were really frustrated because they were used to muscling their way around what I was doing, and they couldn't pass my guard at all. And I was just like, yes, it's working. And I'm finding myself being in stronger positions and working my way. The more I defend, the more opportunities I have to attack. And I've been noticing more opportunities and more openings for me to attack. And also I'm learning I really don't know anything about attacking, and I have 3 good moves, and that's that. But I'm just super excited for not only getting promoted, but this seminar. Marcelo has so much information, so I'm gonna bring a really thick notebook, and because he won't let video cameras in there. But I'm so excited. And I just feel great. Just my little micro ambitions.
Yeah. Well, on that topic, you have jiu-jitsu, you have obviously a podcast. I feel another micro ambition of yours is really putting together your house still, getting all of the renovations for that, and so kindly letting Irene and I stay here. But I feel you have a lot of very different micro ambitions that you're kind of are moving your life along at a really great kind of pace. Yeah, well, it's overwhelming, and I think that's what I was experiencing with jiu-jitsu. I was overwhelmed at the amount of knowledge that I didn't have and the amount of things that I couldn't do, and I didn't know where to start. So I think I was just overwhelmed, and I just started to apply the same thing that I do every time that I've been overwhelmed in any other situation, where I just start somewhere, pick a small thing and start there. And it's just coming together really well all of a sudden. I'm waiting for the next Rocky patch, but I'm very excited that it's working. So, I guess that's what you have to do. Yeah, well, I kind of had a very similar experience, a little bit different, but right after I graduated school, as you know, we didn't have a lot to go off of. We had kind of a crappy portfolio situation. We didn't really know how to present that, and I kind of realized after graduation, my portfolio, we're in fashion design, and my portfolio was just not going to be good enough to get the job that I had the ambition for. And so I realized I really had to redo a lot of it and add projects that didn't exist. And if you're in the design world, you know that they're not little projects. They take a long time, especially if they're going to manifest into something really impressive. So when I first graduated, I kind of just freaked out. I didn't know where even to start, because the list of things that I had to do was just so ridiculously long, and I knew it was going to take me months, if not years, to figure it out. And so I freaked out. So I put my hand in the sand and I just didn't do it, because it's like one of those situations where you just have so much work to do, you nap instead. It's basically what I just did. I just didn't know where to start and what even to do. And so I just did it. And then for, a couple months, that actually I was pretty seriously dating somebody at the time, and that took a huge toll on our relationship because I just did it. I didn't push myself like I had. I had gone for 4 months. We had gone for 4 months basically doing Project Runway on steroids, essentially, for 4 months straight. And I was just so sick of all of that I, it's fair to have like a, 1 or 2 month break. But then after that...
I took a 6 month hiatus.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then after that, I really needed to get going. And you were great at kind of cracking the whip and getting it going, even though it was pretty hard for you.
Yeah. I think it was hard in a different way because I wanted to go a different path. And I didn't, it was the same situation. I didn't know where to start, but I knew like what I had wasn't right. And so I think, and also my situation was a lot less comfortable than yours, I think. So I had to go to work. So after like 2 months at home, I started working 2 jobs. But, but I mean, you basically did the same thing in just a different format.
Right. Well, I sort of, I feel like, I think the biggest thing was I just needed to just start one thing. I needed to kind of, instead of looking at the giant picture, which was what was totally freaking me out, I needed to sort of create individual smaller goals and then like your micro ambitions and just start them, one by one. And I think the first thing that I started doing was, I got asked to do a kind of consulting job for an equipment, a lift truck equipment company, and so I just started doing that, and I just kind of left everything and was like, well, this could be a good thing for my portfolio, so let's just focus 100% on that. And that got me started. It finally got me out of this feeling of like just total. I don't
like floundering.
Yeah, like exactly. It's just
like blank space.
No path. Like that fear of the blank page. Yeah. There's just, what do I even write? What do I do?
Right.
And so it got me started.
Start again. Start over.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I just started doing that, and then once that project finished, I started another project. And then I sort of got on my feet, and I got a kind of a personal training job. I was the personal training director at LA Fitness after a little while, and it's not what I planned on doing, but it worked, and it got me, kind of to get going. And then I graduated from that and then went to working on another project and another project and another project. And it was just smaller goals that I finally was able to get to my big goal. And
they just like snowballed together.
Yeah, but literally the biggest thing is just start. Oh my God, I'm the queen of procrastination. I like that. I mean, I have ADHD. I take medication to fix that.
You run on Samantha time.
I do. I'm late to everything, but I really do procrastinate, and that was one of the most detrimental procrastination periods of my life. But it taught me a lot, and I think the biggest thing it taught me is not to fear the blank page and just to go for it. Just do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's all being micro ambitious is just you take your big goal that you can't obtain. You're looking at this pie in the sky thinking like, well, I can't reach that.
Yeah.
And then you just break it out into small stair steps. And what's funny is like you start really small, like, okay, today I'm going to sketch for 20 minutes. And then that's your first micro ambition, and that's your first little goal. And then all of a sudden, like, your next micro ambition is like, today I'm going to finish all the mechanical renderings of all this product. And you're like, in your mind, it's a lot easier. But at the time, it was really hard. Like, you would never have gotten there and that's really all it ever is. And it's never a straight line.
No,
I feel like.
never,
you just
never,
have to become kind of, when you have a goal, you have to kind of become like this yes person to anything that might push you just a little bit closer to it. Like diagonally and forward is still forward.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting that you say that because when I was going through this kind of freak out time in my life, this is where being asked to be a personal trainer at LA Fitness kind of fell into my lap out of nowhere. We were working out together, and they came up to us and said, "You guys would be great as personal trainers."
And then I already work 60 hours
and I was like, I need a job. So and then that ended up blossoming 4 months later into me being the director. Now, if you had told me that I was going to do that 4 months earlier, I would have told you that you were completely psychotic.
If I had even suggested, like, "Hey, Sam, why don't you go be a personal trainer?" I would have said months? You would have been like, "That's not in line with my life goals."
No, that's not in line with my goals. It's not going to happen. And my mom's close friend, who's a life coach, actually is amazing at giving advice, and she was like, the road to your dream life is never a straight line. And this is guess what? This is a great opportunity because you want to do athletic wear. So this is going to give you experience into that clientele. You're going to understand people a little bit better. Yeah. This is actually going to be really great for you. You're gaining back your confidence with this job. There's so many positive things. Yeah. Just because you're kind of taking the scenic route instead of the highway, you're still going to, but you're gaining so many beautiful views along the way.
Well, and you got a whole inspiration for a project concept.
I did, yeah. One of probably the best project concept in my portfolio is based off of me working at LA Fitness, and that never would have happened if I wasn't okay with opening myself up to doing something a little bit different.
Yeah, and then and the thing is, once you get started, you just keep gaining momentum.
You really do,
and it's funny because I started very awkwardly, and I was working 2 jobs, and then I got a random job at a manufacturing plant. And then that was great for a year, and then I got another job in a manufacturing plant, and that's been okay. But it's funny because if you look back, if you had told me last year that I'd be where I am this year, I'd kind of laugh at you and be like, no. But I'm here now, and I'm actually looking at the next thing that's actually moving me even closer to where I want to be. Yeah. Because I knew that I didn't want to be in traditional fashion design, and I kind of lost my passion for creating things like that, and I wanted to move more into the brand management, the account management, more working with the creatives and helping give them direction, but not necessarily
doing the actual creative work.
Yeah, because I just feel like there's so many people in the world that are so much more creative and more talented than me. But I do
not in sewing. That's one thing.
Well, but I also know that there's there are very few people that can get as organized as I can when I have a big goal to reach. Yeah. And that's something that's
and have the ambition that you do. I don't know anyone in my life that sees a goal and just goes, I'm going to do it, and then does it. Legitimately, I mean, I take inspiration from you a lot because because you're so I have this ambition, with podcasts, I have this ambition, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. So it's going to happen. I'm doing it. And I'm going to do it 110%. And that's what you do with everything that you're passionate about. And there's not enough people in the world that are like that and that have management skills. And especially with creatives, I think me especially, we're just kind of all over the place. So we, somebody that's, goal-oriented and passionate and ambitious, but also can sort of hone that all in and sort of take that creativity and put it into
You can't pick. I'm a creative. So you could, if you were like, hey, do you want to manage a brand that does electronics, or do you want to manage a brand that does gas fireplaces? I'd be like, I could go either way. Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah. Tell me where you want me to go. Yeah. And so that can be really hard for me, but I guess my mom taught me when I was really young to just pick a direction, because you can always change direction. Mm-hmm. And then I've kind of been I do this naturally, but if I don't play games that I don't want to win. Yeah. I don't get involved in a situation that I'm not interested in, or that I don't think that I have the capability to perform, or I just don't play games that I don't want to win. So if I don't want to podcast, I'm not going to podcast. Right. If I don't want to if I don't want to play the workplace politics, I'm going to step out. They can't drag me into that. You know, what are they can say things about me, and they can say things to me, but they can't make me join the game and try to maneuver somebody else.
Well, and a good example for that is, if two people are going for the same promotion and one person really wants the promotion because they understand the responsibility and what it actually means versus the person that just wants the promotion because they want to prove that they can get it and they just want to win, whereas and they don't really think about everything that comes with it. They just want to prove that they're better. That's playing a game. Don't play the game that
Yeah, and I'm kind of doing that in jiu-jitsu too, where it's like, okay, well, I can't win from like mount because I'm not heavy enough to keep control, or I can't really win from side control because I'm not, I don't have the skills there yet to really succeed. So I'm playing the games that I want to play and that I feel comfortable playing and that I can win. And you can, it goes both ways, because if at any time somebody decided I don't want to play this game, then I'd be screwed, because you can't play a game by yourself, really.
Yeah. Well, that really goes into, and I know that whoever's listening is definitely going to say, well, relationships, hello, because, the games are played, especially at our age, all the time. And
I don't play relationship games. I don't do it.
But
it's a problem.
It's such a good point, though, because saying, no one can win a game if somebody refuses to play it. And if they win, they if they think that they didn't really win.
Yeah. Did you win if you really lost? Like, yeah. No,
Right.
I just told, I feel like it's some kind of like a detriment sometimes, because not everybody is as direct as me. So like, I can understand that makes it very hard to be with me or even to get to know me, because I'm like, this is what I want.
Yep. Well,
but recently I told somebody, it's working really well, because like recently, I guess like my give a damn busted or something. And I've stopped trying to like worry about should I be playing these games, and I've started to worry about how do I better explain
or even
what
make
I need.
Excuses for people. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is somebody does something wrong, and yes, you kind of care about them and you want things to work out, so you make an excuse for why they would have done that in the first place, when you just need to be like, you know what? That's not a game I want to play.
I literally asked somebody the other day, I was like, because I got invited someplace, and I was like, do you want me there? And he was like, if you want to be there. I was like, no. Do you want me there? Because if you want me there, I want to be there. But if you don't want me there, I'm not interested. And I'm not mad. I just don't want to be where I'm not wanted.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
And
I'm not going to be offended.
Right. I'm not going to play that game. So like, it goes in a ton of different environments, but if you want something from me, ask me.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a really good example. I had been sort of talking to a guy, a while ago, and he moved to a different city, and when months and months later, when he found out that I was going to be moving to the same city for a couple months, he started talking to me a little bit more and getting very flirty, and basically leading me on to believe that once I got to that city, things would sort of rekindle. And I got there and that didn't happen. I think we hung out one time and it was super awkward, and the whole 4 months that I was there, I didn't hear from him at all. So I come back and I get messages from him again, too bad you couldn't have stayed longer. I get, provocative pictures and things like that, and I'm thinking, I literally just got home and now you miss me?
I was there for months.
What was the deal? And I literally, honestly, I called him out on it. I said, look, it's really not cool that you ghosted me. When you were all about me, you led me on, and then you ghosted me, and now you're all about me again. What is that? That's not cool. So, I just need you to be honest with me.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, well, to be honest, my ex came back into the picture.
And you were like, oh.
And I was like, all right, well, you know what? That's fine, but I wish you would have said something.
Yeah.
And, you acted like an asshole. Can I say that?
Yeah.
You acted like an asshole.
It's my podcast. I cuss all the time.
and that wasn't cool, and it kind of hurt my feelings, and you really led me on. So I wish that you would. So if you had been honest with me before, things wouldn't have gotten. I wouldn't have been this angry, and we would have been able to just be friends, and that's fine. And he said, yeah, you're right, And then literally 2 days later, he sent me a message that said, hey, I've been thinking about this, and I really respect you for calling me out. I don't know anyone that's called me out like that before, that's not my girlfriend. I think he's like, I didn't expect that, and it really made me think. And the more I thought about it, the more I really felt like a fuckboy. He called himself a fuckboy, which is a big deal. And he was like, I really respect you for that.
Yeah.
And that was because I did not want to play this stupid game. Oh, does he want me? Does he not want me? Should I send him these? Should I send provocative texts back? What should I do? No,
Let me ignore the fact that he ignored me.
Yeah, called it. I didn't make excuses for him. I called him out on it. And the fact is, he completely respected me. And what happens after that? He sends me more messages and tells me that he wants to see me again and this and that. And I mean, I've been through that before, and that's its own story. But
you were at least on equal ground at that point.
Exactly. Where we're both, we both have the ball in our hands. It's not, one or the other.
Well, that's so important too, because I feel like as women, we do this to ourselves, we do it to other women, we do it to men, we do it to family members, and we are trying to play games, to maneuver ourselves into positions of power without actually ever saying what we need.
Yeah.
Just telling the truth. And I just feel like that's something that we all need to work on all the time, because it's a hard thing to get used to doing, but at the end of the day, first of all, you can't be in any kind of healthy relationship, whether it's platonic or romantic or familial, where one person is literally in charge of all the power. You can't do that. And you can't have a healthy discussion if you guys aren't on the same footing.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're constantly 2 steps behind somebody, or if you don't feel like you're entitled to express your feelings, that's you can't have a healthy discussion. And I think women a lot of times wait until they're dating men to address this, and that's too late.
Yeah.
Because you have to address it when you meet, because you are always entitled to call out shitty behavior in another human, especially when their behavior makes you feel worse.
Right. And you don't need the girlfriend card to call out that behavior.
No.
You don't need it.
I've called out people that I've just met in a bar that were friendly, all of a sudden turn around, we're an asshole to somebody else. And I was like, that's not cool. You got to cut that out. And I just feel like women, we wait until it's the girlfriend card. And I think that that.
And even then.
And even then, you don't even say clearly. So, you're 6 months into a relationship.
And also, I just want to say I'm completely guilty of doing this. Only until recently have I felt confident enough to express my thoughts and actually come out and say what I feel and have actually positive reciprocation from, whoever I'm talking to.
Yeah.
It took me a long, long time to feel confident enough to do that.
I'm guilty of it too, because I tend to brush things off, because I don't really have a lot of problems with people, and very few things really deeply bother me. And I'm getting a lot better about saying when something really does. And also just getting a lot better about addressing little small issues, little bitty things, a weird conversation that you maybe missed the point of, or you just when you have a conversation with somebody, just needles in the back of your mind, and you're like, what were they really trying to tell me there?
Instead of just overthinking it, which we do all the time.
I just circle back around, and I think that's the difference. That's something, because women, we have a lot of power, and I fully believe in putting responsibility on the person whose responsibility it is, but the reality of life is that we are all responsible for ourselves. And I think especially in romantic relationships, when guys talk about their crazy girlfriends, it's because you waited until 6 months into the relationship to address something that's been bothering you for a year.
Yeah.
That you've been getting to know this person, or however long. And so all of a sudden you're in this relationship, and this guy thought he knew you, and guys are not extremely perceptive. They're not.
God.
You have to lead them to water and give them the swirly straw, because if you try to be subtle, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna miss it. Even if they are a wonderful,
extremely perceptive, great guys,
kind, loving person, they will miss it.
Yeah.
Because women are extremely subtle.
Yeah.
And so, they're in this relationship, and they think that they know this woman, and all of a sudden she's crazy, and he doesn't know why. And things that he's been doing for months that he thought were okay are really, really bad. And then you spend the next 3 or 4 months hating each other, but still in a relationship, because God damn it used to be good, right? And then you break up, and you're both damaged from it.
Seems like you've had some experience in this realm a little bit.
No. I mean, but I really, that's what happens. And I think that as women, we forget that our actions, nobody is supposed to read your mind. Like, you have to speak your mind.
Yeah.
And it's not your significant other's responsibility to ask you what's wrong. It's yours to tell him or her what's wrong. And I just feel like that's something that we always forget to do. And like, it just puts us it's playing a game that we can't win at that point, because we've put ourselves we've tied a hand behind our back and put ourselves 3 steps down.
Right. And on a similar note, you can't be in a relationship if that person in your relationship is just everything.
Oh,
like,
God, yeah.
Like, and I learned this the hard way. You have to be fulfilled yourself before both of you have to be fulfilled yourself before you can be successful in a relationship and for it to work. You have to have your own lives. You have to have you've got to have your shit already kind of figured out, and then you can share a life together. Because, like I said, I learned this in a very difficult way. It
was painful.
Yeah, but going back to when I was going through that time and I was dating somebody very seriously, like I said, I put my head in the sand and I kind of just shut out all of my issues with work, and then I latched on to my ex. I latched onto him super hard because he was the only constant, and he was the only part of my blank page that was like,
it was like it was a really positive relationship.
It was a positive relationship
at the beginning of
it. Was. He was very supportive and he was great, and but I revolved my life 100% around him because I didn't know what my own life was going to be. And so I just sort of forgot about all of my issues, and I just focused on him. Yeah. And I was thinking, well, you know what? He'll be my missing piece. He's the,
he's going to fix me.
Yeah, he's going to fix me. That's the absolute worst way to go about a relationship.
That's too much pressure to put on any one person.
Well, yeah. And, the reason that he fell in love with me, I think, in the first place was because I was going through my senior thesis, and I was being really independent, and I was doing my own thing, and I even told him, look, if you have to wait until my senior thesis for us to actually date, then that's fine, because school comes first over you, sorry.
Yeah.
And he found that so attractive.
Well, because he was allowed to be himself and have his things.
And so I had my things, he had his things, and it worked. But then after I graduated, I didn't have anything. And so I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we broke up, is because I wasn't fulfilled myself. And so I think, in order to have a successful relationship, that whole idea of like finding your missing piece is total bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, you are your you are the puzzle that's all put together. That's all the pieces of your own life.
And the idea that like your husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend should worship you, to me, is revolting. Because like, don't worship me. Like, push me to be better. Yeah. Do not sit there and worship me. Put you on a pedestal. Like, I'll be your queen, okay? But don't worship me, because like I need somebody to straighten me the fuck out sometimes.
Somebody that's always going to push you to be better. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you need to have your own lives, your own fulfilled lives, and then once you come together, I feel like this quote is probably a really good place to say. Yeah. But I found this quote on this. I don't have all of the credentials for this.
That's okay.
But it is off Thought Catalog. It is a recent article about playing the game. It's literally titled like "Women Don't Play the Game Anymore." Yeah. And it's all about the difference between how women don't play the game and girls do. And if you want to find a true life partner, then they're not going to play it.
Last podcast, I talked about how I'm no longer teaching men how to be men.
Right.
Like, you need to figure that shit out on your own.
Exactly. So I think the biggest thing is, your life should be fulfilled as it is. And when somebody comes into it, it's just enhancing your life. It's making it happier. And so that's where this quote comes from. It says, "You should know that a strong woman who is truly happy with the life she has created for herself doesn't need you to fulfill or complete her. Having you by her side may enhance her life in a way she didn't know was possible, but not having you there won't destroy it. If you want to be with her, you'll have to show her how you can make her even happier."
That's the religion.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all it is.
Yeah, and that's something I think I know for a fact that a lot of our girlfriends are extremely guilty of not making sure that they're fully fulfilled because of, whatever excuse they want to throw out. And it's actually silly, but when I bought my house, and I bought my house at 22, and I was making like $12 an hour and living in my parents' house, and I was just like, this is too much. So I went and bought like the cheapest house I could find that was livable. And it was a really great decision, but even in that situation where I was like looking at rent, knowing that I couldn't afford rent, looking at houses, knowing I could afford to buy, and like looking at my parents' house, knowing that I couldn't stay there, there was a solid, and it took me much longer than I'm proud to admit, it was a solid period of time where I was really concerned that if I bought a house, I wouldn't be able to get a boyfriend and get married because that would be way too threatening that I'm already established. Yeah, which is like a crazy, like that is like the craziest thought pattern. But then like rationality came through, and like my true self came through and was like, fuck it, buy it anyway. It's your house.
Yes, because the man that's
gonna fall in love with you is gonna love the fact that you bought your damn house because you felt like it.
Yeah,
and I think that's just so important for everybody to do. But like when you want to do something and when you want something, just do it.
Yeah.
Because the people who will appreciate you and like love you the way you need to be loved will find that trait really attractive.
They'll automatically filter out. They really will.
And, and it's like that guy said, like now he respects you. Well, it's respecting yourself and then commanding the respect of others.
Yes, that is so big. Yeah. Respect yourself enough to command the respect of others.
Yeah, and that's what it means when you don't play games that you don't want to win. Yeah. Respect yourself enough to know when you don't want to or can't win and you're not going to waste your time and energy, and also respect the people around you enough to know that like they might want to play that game and expend their energy and you should not waste their time.
Right.
You know, don't show up if you're not going to actually show up.
Yeah, don't waste your own time, don't waste anybody else's.
Yeah, and that goes not just in relationships, but that goes for work. Like, if you're going to get a job and not do the job, don't take that job. Like, if you don't want to do that job, do not take that job.
Right, don't even apply for it.
Right. It's just don't do it. And, like, if you're like, at jiu-jitsu and you don't want to be at jiu-jitsu, then go the fuck home, because I don't want to grapple with somebody that's not trying to get better. Like, that's how I feel. And if you don't know if you want to be there or not, give it a couple more sessions. But when you do know,
say something.
You know, figure your shit out. Yeah. Like, it's just, and I just feel like it's really okay to just say it out loud. Like, identify the monster in the room. Like, admit to the existence of your problem and then bring it into whatever game you're playing, because you're always playing. Like, life is just a series of games. That's how I look at it anyway.
Well, there are some games that you should play.
Yeah.
Like, you know, with your boss. Or like with the shitty boss.
You can't walk in and be an asshole every day in a job you hate.
Right.
Okay? Because you can't really get fired unless you have, like, independent wealth, which would be nice, but I don't know many people who have that.
Right.
And you can't, like, in a relationship, you can't just be an asshole all the time, because maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they got bad news. Maybe they are, like, just feeling extra sensitive because it's a bad month, or just some shit's going down, or maybe they're just, like, really into their emotions that day. So you can't, like, come at them wild all the time.
The thing is, you just have to ask people to be honest with you. Yeah. I mean, that's honestly the biggest thing. Some people aren't going to open up, but if you call them out, and I mean, case in point, like, I feel like I'm keep talking about guys that I've dated, but like, most recently, the guy that I've kind of had a thing with, and he's very closed off, and I've really had to force him to sort of open up. Why is this is also my ex did the exact same thing, so I don't know why I date these, like, because emotionally closed off men.
You're an incredibly extroverted person, and, like, it's true that introverts don't make friends. We get adopted by extroverts. Yeah. That's what happened to me. And I think, like, you approach these relationships because you see, like, what kind of good person they are, and, like, you have dated really good people.
Yeah.
But when you meet a challenge, or when you, like, find a weakness in yourself, you tend to be like, how do I make this better? And unfortunately, a lot of people in the world don't do that. And I think that's also something that, like, everybody needs to work on. When you suck at something, don't just be like, oh, that's it, not going to work on it. Like, you need to stop and work on it. Like, it's not acceptable to just
continue. When it's a personal emotion. It's so hard to reflect back at yourself and say, you know what, I'm not a good communicator, or you know what, I do snap at people too much, or you know, whatever. It's hard to critique yourself. It's really easy to be like, Colleen, sometimes you just talk incessantly and don't shut up. Like, but then it's really hard to be like, Sam, you're really not a good listener when she does that. Like, so maybe it's not just her, it's also you.
Yeah, and that's true in any case. And I know for a fact, and this is something I'm working on very hard, I tend to steamroll people and like really kind of muscle them into doing things that I want them to do because like I would do it for them. Right. and then I have to like, or I thought I understood what they were saying to me, and I've been working on like taking a step back and reflecting, like,
right,
okay, was I really listening or was I filling in the blanks and like just like talking for them,
right?
And that's something that's like, it's a big problem for me.
But most people would not sit there, especially in a podcast, and say these are issues that I have.
Especially when the people that listen to my podcast are my friends. Sorry, guys.
But
I know I have problems.
It is a big step to do that, and sometimes you need a friend or a significant other to kind of call you out on it.
Yeah.
And say, hey, look, I noticed that you're kind of pulled back recently, and I'm not sure what's going on. But if you're having anxiety about something, or if there's something going on at work, can you talk to me? Or if it's me, can you talk to me about it?
Like, did I do... That's the hardest one.
And most of the time, they'll go, no, it's not you. And, yes, it's work. And let me explain to you why I've been closed off.
Or worst case scenario, they're like, yeah, it was you. But then it's out there and you can fix it. And that really goes back to, like, you have to play games that you want to win. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what it comes back to. Like, lay the foundation of an equal playing field for everybody.
Yep.
Everybody gets a ball. It's not a win-lose situation. It's either a win-win or a lose-lose all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even if you thought you won by like not texting back or asserting your dom or winning the argument, like there's no such thing as winning an argument in a relationship.
No, oh my gosh.
You never won the argument.
That's a huge one. Also, there's a very big issue that I think a lot of relationships have, and that I've been guilty of myself, is this innate feeling of needing to be right about something.
Ugh, yeah.
Like, there's so many times where being right doesn't matter. In fact, it's more damaging to need to be right. And I've dated... I've dated a guy that just needs to be right about everything. Like, I've even, like, one of my best friends, don't worry, not you. But
I did. I did too.
One of my best friends, it is that way. She just needs to be right. We will argue about something as stupid as like, whose wine glass is that? And I will know for a fact that wine glass is mine.
But it had to be hers.
I know she's wrong, but nope, like, becomes this huge blown out thing. Yeah. Nope, she's right, and here's why, and let me give you all these like explanations and whatever. And it like puts a riff in our friendship sometimes because I'm like, it's a wine glass. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, I would say that 99% of the reason why I left my last relationship was because I was always wrong.
Yeah.
And there's only so many times that you can be wrong.
Sometimes you just have to be like, you know what? This is a dumb argument. Like, even if you are right, or even if I'm right, or even if neither of us is right, who cares? We need to just fix the problem.
Right. And it's kind of funny, but it's really changed how I've been approaching new relationships now. And like, I'm kind of taking things like very casually, just meeting them where they are and like just kind of going with the flow until I find out how they get mad and how they fight. And that's it. Like, that is when I make the decision, am I continuing or am I not? Because it usually happens in about a month or two in.
Yeah.
Like,
of a serious relationship.
Yeah.
Or when
like
you've started a
that you've spent a lot of time, you've been spending a lot of time with.
Well, a real argument, I feel, happens, like, you have the superficial arguments where you, like, get annoyed with each other about something dumb.
Right. Well, sometimes I pick a bickering match just to figure out how, because, like, healthy couples bicker all the time. Like, I think about my parents, and they bicker all the time. And it's like little minor things, like, oh, I thought we were making pork chops for lunch. No, I wanted noodle, Yeah. And they go back and forth, but it's just like, it's a give and take, and they're listening to each other, and then at the end, like, they settle on something that they both want. And so, like, you can figure out how somebody fights when you bicker with them. Because, like, I should have known, and I knew that it was wrong the first little tiff, like, couple weeks into dating this guy, like, getting to know him, and we were bickering about something, and he had to be right. Yeah, 100%. And, like, that's what I look for now. Because if you have to be right, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. And it's funny because it's something that's getting easier with me in jiu-jitsu because, like, there are guys that I wrestle with, and, like, I'm learning pretty quickly now because I've started, like, I've got my knowledge base. And they're some of the guys are getting kind of frustrated because what they used to do doesn't work on me anymore. But instead of adapting to it, they keep just trying harder, and they keep trying the same thing over and over because, like, it was right. You know, it had to be right. And so they're getting really frustrated, and, like, it's just, you have to adapt because even when you're rolling with somebody, you have to get your, like, the proper position before you can get to submission.
Right.
But there's really no, like, there's the right way to do it, but there's really no wrong way to get there as long as you get it into the right position. And I feel like that rolls over really seamlessly into relationships because when it doesn't matter, like, how you ended up in a bickering match or in a big fight. It doesn't matter how you got there. All that matters is can you finish it respectfully, and can you finish it on equal terms so that, like, both parties are okay with the finish and like feel that it was fair and feel that they had represented their best sides, instead of, you know, having this, like, incessant need to be like, this is why you're wrong. And it's something that I think differentiates boys from men. Yeah. And, like, women from girls, and basically adults from children, is like, can you be wrong or can you be right? Right. And keep your mouth shut about it.
And the other thing is, you know, also, you know, when that person that needs to be right, it's also realizing, you know, when you're having an argument, that you can't come at the offensive and say every single time, this is what you're doing wrong, this is why, know, you basically blaming them every time. Whereas most of the time, that's where a lot of arguments will stem from. Here's all the things that you did wrong. And that person goes, no, here's all the things that I'm, like, actually did right.
And here's what you did wrong.
Or here's why I'm right and you're not. Whereas where you really need to go, here's how I feel. Because nobody can argue with the way that you feel. It's your emotions. You can't say, here are all the things that you did wrong.
And if somebody does try to argue with why what you feel is wrong, then you can just, like, check that person out of your life. Because, like, that's a world of crazy. That's something that you cannot get past.
No, that's true. But, I mean, it helps arguments along so much more when you can say, look, this is how I feel right now. Yeah. And this is how your actions have caused me to feel versus this is what you did wrong.
Right. And, like, you can also be really honest with yourself, because I feel like every time I've been in a big argument with somebody I care about, I kind of knew why we got in the argument. Like, I kind of knew, even if the argument was about, like, who didn't buy toilet paper that week, right? Yeah. I kind of knew that the real argument was the fact that, like, I didn't feel like things were working out evenly financially across the board or something like that. Or I just felt like, you know, you were borrowing all my stuff without asking me. And instead of saying, like, hey, I'd really appreciate it if you'd ask me. Or, like, I feel like maybe I didn't make it clear that, like, these things are able to be borrowed, but I would prefer that these things be asked before they're borrowed. Like, instead of, like, having that conversation, you blow up about something that's stupid and irrelevant. And then everybody leaves that argument feeling more confused than when you started. But, like, if you go into a big fight and you say, hey, I think that when I did this, I made you feel something that I didn't want you to feel, but I don't understand how you're feeling. So can you please help me understand, like, why did I hurt you? And, like, how did I hurt you? And I'm sorry that I did. And how do we move forward? Yeah. And, like, I mean, you can hurt somebody's feeling in, like, the very slightest conversation. Like, I'm a tough person, and I'm pretty rude and, like, pretty easygoing about a lot of things, but also you can hurt my feelings by, like, telling me my dog is ugly. Like, that'll hurt my feelings.
Well, that's like telling you your kid is ugly. That's
It's true, but it would hurt my feelings if I felt like you were telling me, you know, or somebody, like, when somebody comes over and they're like, oh, you bought this house? I'm like, okay, well, fuck you, but my feelings are hurt, so, like, when you leave, I might cry a little, you know, and it's like, you just don't realize the effect that you can have on other people. So, like, I just feel like people don't pay enough attention to others. Yeah. And when you have a conversation, you have to really watch somebody.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could go into an argument or a conversation thinking, I want to solve this or I want to be right. They're two separate things. I mean, and if you're going into it thinking, I need to have this conversation to make sure they know I'm right, then it's not going to work out in your favor. It's actually going to get much worse. But if you go into an argument thinking, I want to resolve this, then you'll go into, these are all the reasons that you are hurting me, and can you explain to me a little bit more what your issue is and this and that, and you have to be open to admitting you're wrong about something,
and the likelihood that person will then come back and be like, you know what, you're right, this was an overreaction.
You can't argue with a mature conversation.
You can't.
Or any kind of, whether it's an argument or like when I texted that guy and said, look, you were acting like a dick, what's the issue? Yeah. Like, you can't argue with maturity. You really can't.
You can try, but it's like you can't.
Somebody has a mature conversation with you, and if your response is to play the game, or if your response is to need to be right, you come off looking stupid.
Yeah, I think my dad used to have this. My dad used to tell me this about getting on fights with people on the internet, and he said, never argue with an idiot, because first they'll drag you down to their level, and then they'll beat you with experience.
Yes,
and that is so true, because you do not, that goes exactly back to do not play games that you do not want to play, or that you don't know how to play,
or
because
win.
Because if I'm trying to play a game, if I'm trying to play like somebody else's game, if I go to jiu-jitsu class and I'm trying to roll the way that Alec rolls, I'm going to lose that roll every single time, because Alec's game is not my game. But when I stop and I say, like, okay, now I'm going to play my game, then, like, Alec doesn't even have to play my game. It just becomes a learning experience for both of us.
Right.
And, like, that's exactly how it is in life. That's exactly how it is in friendships. It's exactly how it is in relationships. It's exactly how it is in families.
Yeah.
I love my family to death, but there are certain people in my family that like to play different kinds of games than me. And not even negative games, but just different. They like different things. They get excited about different things. They get upset about different things. And I choose to let them play their game and accept it and love them for their game. And, sometimes for fun, I'll, like, shoulder in and be like, okay, let's interact a little, and let's, and I let them beat me at whatever they're, it's something along those lines, and that's how, like, you get into, that's an aspect of that is what you need for a really healthy relationship. But you also have to know when you need to take a step back and say, this is not something I'm playing.
Right.
And I think that when two people that are, like, really strong in their own, really fulfilled, as you said, in their own ways, come together, it makes, like, their togetherness, when they maintain their fulfillment outside of each other,
much more special. Yeah.
Much more meaningful, much more bonded. And that's kind of something that
and long lasting.
That's kind of something I'm in the beginning of experiencing now. It's just like I've got, like, a very solid personal life right now. Like, I really put a lot of things back together. I'm really, really happy with everything. Like, I'm over the moon that I have roommates. Like, I just think it's so great. And, like, I feel like I've got my social life together.
Yeah.
I'm trying things. I'm doing the things I want to do. I'm creating. And then, this other person, he's got the same thing going on where he's really fulfilled and he's putting his life together. He has things that he really loves. So it makes it so much more fun when we can say, hey, let's go do this thing together.
Yeah.
And like, looking at my parents and looking at your parents, that's what they do. And that's what I think maybe our generation is kind of romanticized to the point where we've lost it.
I think that our generation just thinks that we have to spend 24/7 together.
Yeah,
that you can't have your own life, and that person enhances your life. That it's two halves coming in to make one whole life versus two lives coming to share.
Well, and I think those memes are so funny about, like, when you don't get an immediate text back, because I think that's the root cause, is that we think that we have to be connected 24/7.
Yeah, we don't.
And so there are people that legitimately get in arguments, serious relationship arguments, when somebody doesn't text them back in a certain acceptable amount of time.
Yeah.
That to me is ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. I'll even give you another, it's hilarious but ridiculous example. I have a guy friend that told me that one of the things that he and his buddies do, he's an older guy friend, but he's married, but he says that one of the things that he and his buddies do when they go out to, like, get drinks together or have a meal. He has maybe 5 or 6 close guy friends, and they'll go out to get a meal. They put all their phone. You probably heard this. They put all their phones in a basket, and they face down on top of each other, and whoever's significant other calls or texts first, that person has to pay for the meal, because and that's one
if I
thing.
Get a boyfriend, he never has to pay.
No, that's one thing. You're going out with your guys, bye, go have fun.
Text me when you're done.
I'm gonna go have a drink with my girlfriends. Don't call me.
Right.
Like that's just, it comes to a point to ridiculousness. Like, that's really a game that you play. They don't trust you to go out with each other for more than 3 hours. Like, come on.
Honestly, there are people that I really love to be around. Mm-hmm. You're one of them. My family's eight of them.
Yep.
And there are people that I could literally spend weeks with, but I still need to be away from them.
Yeah, you still need your own alone time and your own. You need your jiu-jitsu, but we both share going to the gym. I need my, I don't know, what things do I do?
You do need your. You're very important. Like, as extroverted as you are, it's very important for you to have your own space. And
Absolutely,
have it put together
that's
the way
huge.
that you want it to be.
Yeah,
like I could not go in your room and decorate for you. That's a boundary that I will never cross, because I know that when you are done being around people, you want to come back into your space with your things the way you put them.
Yep.
And that's that. And like, whoever you end up with, like, seriously, if you get married, if you decide to go down that road, like, you're going to have to be with somebody that understands that there are certain aspects of your life that they don't touch.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
And that's fine. Like,
as extroverted, I'm an extroverted extrovert. I'm probably one of the most extroverted people you'll ever meet.
She's so extroverted that she made me extroverted.
Yeah, but but even an extroverted extrovert, I need my space. I need to be able to shut the door and put on my headphones and just chill out. And it doesn't mean that I don't want to be around people. Like, well, I don't want to be around people all the time, but it's just, everybody needs their space. And I feel like, if that ends up happening, I do end up being in a relationship, I feel like I will need like an office or like a small space for myself, which both of my parents do, by the way. My dad, his office, we have a finished basement. His office is in the basement, and his entire walk-in closet is down there. Like, it's his bathroom, his office, and his closet down there. My parents, they share the same bed. They sleep in the same room. But then my mom, her space, she has a little office upstairs.
Super cute.
And it's basically an old kid's playroom. There were 3 bedrooms, and one for my sister, one for me, and then this other little office space that she's decorated, and it has all the baby pictures and all these little mementos from when she was a kid and all this stuff, and it's their own spaces. And
every time I go into those spaces, I know where you get it from, because I go in those spaces and I'm like, I'm not touching a damn thing in here. But like, everybody has those things they need. And even like my parents, who've been married maybe almost 40 years now. I should know, but I don't know. Long time. My mom has been a stay-at-home mom her whole life. She still, like, even as kids, let us know when she needed alone time. And, like, just said, nope, this is it. Get away from me. Yep. Go be quiet somewhere. Don't make anybody bleed. Follow the rules. Because if you don't, there will be hell to pay. And that's true. Like, if you don't follow that rule, there's hell to pay. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's just
and then a good quote that you have down here, which is, make sacrifices for others, but don't sacrifice yourself.
Well, that's a huge one. I work from a thought journal. Yeah. Like, I have, this is my stream of consciousness journal. And actually, when you were talking about fear of the blank page, I was kind of laughing because when I started this journal, I didn't know what to put on the first page. So I skipped it, and then I went back and drew this later. But you can see, like, all my writings started on the second page, because I literally had no idea what to put on the first. I was like, how do I start a stream of consciousness journal? Like, that should have been the first thing that I wrote down, but I panicked because there was like this big white empty blank page in front of me. Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is you just got to go for it. Just do it. Even if it's the smallest, tiniest little, I'm going to write one sentence and be done. Just do it.
Right. You just start. I think the first thing that I put in here, something about modern feminism and, like, working out why I don't like it. Working out, like, what doesn't sit well with me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, let's see. Yeah, I literally wrote out, like, why I have a problem with man hating.
Yeah,
because it basically takes the responsibility off women, and like you infantile yourself, and you absolve yourself of any guilt when really you're grown up, and it's like time to own up, and like that rhymed, and now I'm distracted, but like that you don't.
But that could be its own podcast in itself.
Like I know fuckboys exist. I don't have a problem with them because I don't let them be fuckboys to me. That's it.
Or the second that they do something, you call them out.
Yeah, and I'm not an unreasonable person. Like, I am actually probably the last person in the world to cut somebody out of my life permanently. But also, like, I have a 3-strike rule. Okay, it's real basic. It's like I'm basically a mom with this rule about it, because like 1 time, okay, maybe you're having an off day. 2 times, I'm a little suspicious, but shit happens. 3 times, especially if I've addressed it both times, 3 times, you're out of there. Done. 3 strikes, you're out. I don't even like baseball, but I like that part.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just, sometimes you have to make sacrifices in order to keep yourself happy, and sometimes that means, that guy might be super hot, but guess what? He's a fuckboy. Or like that guy might be super intellectual or be super driven or seem like he's great, and then he lets you down. Well, you know what? Yeah, that sucks. But, or maybe the sex is great and that sucks. But you can't, you've got to make that sacrifice. You know what? You got to give that up because he doesn't respect you, and that's not worth it. That's just going to put a detriment on yourself. And or,
and it even can be more positive too. Like, for example, I own my own house. I really like my own space. I would spend 7 days a week here. I would never go to work if I didn't have to. And so it can be kind of tricky when like you're trying to get to know somebody and they're like, what do you want to do? And it's like, well, what I want to do is like cook dinner here and sit on my couch and watch my TV and drink my alcohol that I earned and paid for and did all this stuff. But what I'm gonna do is go to your place and get dressed up, and we're gonna go out, and like, okay, maybe I'll like sleep in your bed even though it's not my bed and I didn't pay for it and I don't own it and it's yours, but whatever, like I'll be there because like that's like a positive sacrifice. Like, it's not a hard sacrifice, but it is still a little bit like, don't like this. But, you can also sacrifice things really positively for other people, like when you need something from me, Yeah. And you're like, hey, Colleen, I really don't want to drive over here, but I really need to go there. And I'm like, yeah, I'll drive.
Yeah.
I'll spend my gas money and not ask you for it. Like, because I care about you and I want you to do the things you want to do.
Yeah.
And those are healthy sacrifices. But when somebody asks you to sacrifice something that's really important to you,
or that compromises your well-being.
Yeah.
I feel like everything in life is a balance. Everything.
Yeah. It's you can say like this is your rule, but there's going to be a situation where that rule doesn't work. And it could be, and I mean, going back to what you just said too, like maybe this guy really was great and he disappointed you, but also maybe he like had a really bad day at work, or somebody very close to him is very sick, or like he just had an off day, or maybe he felt like you weren't caring enough for him, so then he was upset, and things like that happen, and they can be difficult to deal with, but also like just deal with them. Yeah. And make the sacrifice. Like, if you're uncomfortable bringing up a topic, well, then suck it up and do it anyway, because it's important. Like, especially when you're uncomfortable and you feel nervous about, like, when I find something that makes me feel nervous, I usually, like, that's the first sign to me that I need to address something. Like, if I feel, one of my best guiding lines, I think, for when I'm starting into a new relationship, if I feel like I can't text you as many times as I need to text you to get my point across, we've got a communication problem. Yeah. Because I have no problem double texting, triple texting, novel texting, one syllable texting. I have no problem. Like, I will, if I'm excited about something and you don't respond right away, that's fine. I don't care, but I'm going to send you 10 pages about why I'm excited.
And all in caps.
Yeah. And if I feel like for whatever reason I can't do that because it's like, oh, I don't want to suffocate them.
I don't want to come across as needy.
Like, anybody who knows me know that I'm the least needy person in the world. Yeah. So if I, like, I think that's a good guideline for most situations. Like, if you feel nervous about something, you need to question why, and then you need to address it and fix it, because you shouldn't, like,
nervous or uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing. I actually had to address this with, Jim at the gym
Mm-hmm.
because I feel really uncomfortable. I didn't know why at first. It took me a while to suss it out, but I felt really uncomfortable rolling with some of the new guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothered me because I want to beat them and I want to get better and I want to roll equally with everybody. And learn what they know. But I realized after like a lot of talking about it, and I realized I was nervous because I was afraid I was going to get hurt because I was afraid that they didn't have the understanding or the refinement yet in their skills to know how much pressure and how like much intensity to apply.
Right.
And that's not their problem because they're new and they're allowed to work through it. But I did have to go and talk to Jim and be like, hey, I don't feel comfortable rolling with these people right now. So like,
once they get a little bit more experienced, I would, but they just, I feel a little bit.
I can't afford to have my arm broken.
Right. On accident.
So,
yeah.
Right. And it's one of those things that I was really uncomfortable about, really nervous about. I even felt bad bringing it up. Like, it felt shitty to bring it up because I don't like admitting that I'm breakable. Mm-hmm. And I don't like admitting that I have weaknesses and that I'm, like, genuinely scared of people. Like, that's a very hard thing for me to admit because I'll fight anybody.
That's true.
If somebody pinches me on St. Patrick's Day, I will armbar them. I will, like, it's a problem for me because, like, if somebody squares up to me, I don't care what size they are. I'm not backing down. Like, you squared up to me?
Yeah. Don't mess.
Yeah, and that's, it's just, and then, it's just addressing the dragon and then bringing it into your game.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's, I don't know, and just getting after it. Like, just go for it. Just start. And just start the conversation.
Yeah, just do it.
It's just...
Don't fear the blank page.
Right.
Just go for
because it's just a page.
And be open. Be open to new things and be open to the unexpected and be open to taking the scenic route.
and own your shit. Own your own shit. Because your shit stinks, my shit stinks, and I'm going to own it.
Yep.
Every single time. Because this is not your practice life.
Yep. And then especially... going back to kind of what we talked about being fulfilled, especially in our age group, make sure that you're happy in your life and you're looking for somebody to enhance it versus somebody to fulfill something missing.
Yeah. Stop playing games that you don't want to win. Mm-hmm. Because you won't. That's what's wrong with your relationship.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
There we go.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'll be updating everybody when I get my promotion. I'll probably... be obnoxious about it.
Say this quote. This is a great quote.
Oh, yeah. Thought for the week. Thought for your life.
Yes.
Because it's easy to lose sight of things. And it's easy to... I just had this conversation. It's so easy to lose sight of your goals because you're excited about another one. And it's also so easy to give up on something because you feel bad about it all of a sudden, or you're questioning yourself and you're full of self-doubt. Especially in today's day and age when we're all hyper connected and just available at text or a call or anything like that. When you're feeling down, when you're feeling a little bit lost, just remember you had a purpose before anyone had an opinion.
Yeah, it's a great quote.
So stick to your purpose because their opinions at the end of the day do not make you better.
Or worse, they don't.
The only effect that they have on you is your mental state. And when you decide that you're not going to let them affect your mental state, then you've won the game.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. So
I feel like, the kind of relates a little bit to my background. I don't know if you can see that very well.
Be fearless in pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.
But do that. That's the background of my phone. Be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.
Yeah.
And you had a purpose before anyone else had an opinion.
Yeah.
I think those are...
And if you don't know like how to start manifesting that stuff, I'm going to tell you right now, first thing you do, look at the people around you. And if you're not surrounded by people that are inspiring you to do that, you need to really seriously look at the quality of your relationships and what you're prioritizing in those.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to get new friends to make your friends better.
Yeah.
And you don't have to start over and begin anew and become a new person to start owning your shit and getting after your life and pulling it together in a really positive way. So if you want to change the world, fix yourself and stick to your purpose. regardless of somebody else's opinion.
For sure.
All right, well,
Great way to end.
we're going to log off there, but
Inspirational.
thank you for listening again. I'm excited we've made it 5 weeks in.
Yes.
If you have any thoughts you want to share, if you have any questions, if you want to get to know me a little bit better, if you know somebody that you would love to hear talk about like their experience as a woman or their experience as an athlete in the world, obviously men are welcome too.
Yeah.
I just want to address primarily like what womanhood and what the female existence is now, because it's changed. And so if you have anything to contribute to that, even if you don't agree with me, I would love to hear about it. So, you know, you can like, comment, share. BarbieJitsu.com, the YouTube channel Barbie Jitsu, the Instagram Barbie Jitsu, and also you can hit me up on my personal stuff because I know you know me.
For now.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.